My roommate said my boyfriend was creeping her out. Someone tagged me in a party photo where she was sitting on his lap. The notification came through at midnight while I was studying for finals. Greek week party, posted 40 minutes ago. I scrolled through the photos. There they were. Brendan's arms wrapped around Becca's waist, her head tilted back laughing, his face buried in her neck. I screenshot it. There were 8 more photos of them, dancing, sharing a drink, his hand on her lower back. I sat there in our dorm room. Her side was empty. She'd said she was going to the library. Brendan had texted me earlier. Staying in tonight, babe. Got that econ exam tomorrow. I'd believed him. My phone buzzed. My best friend, Natalie. Did you see? I'm so sorry. I stared at Becca's empty bed. This morning she'd sat there drinking coffee, telling me how uncomfortable Brendan made her feel, how he stared too long, how he found excuses to come by when I wasn't there. I think he's trying to get me alone, she'd said. Would you talk to him? I'd felt terrible. I'd apologized. That afternoon, I'd sent Brendan a long text about respecting Becca's space. He'd responded immediately. Of course. I had no idea I was making her uncomfortable. The door opened at 1:32 a.m. Becca stumbled in, makeup smeared, wearing Brendan's varsity jacket. She froze when she saw me awake. Hey, she said carefully. I held up my phone, showing the photos. Her face went pale. Then something shifted. Not guilt. Something harder. Before you freak out, she said slowly. There's something you should know about Brendan. I don't want to hear it. No, you need to hear this. She sat on her bed. He came on to me first. Months ago. Before you two were even official. I stared at her. What? September. Remember when you went home for Labor Day? He showed up here drunk. He kissed me. I pushed him away. I didn't tell you because you seemed really happy. My stomach dropped. September was when we'd first started dating. Tonight was supposed to be me proving it to you, she continued. I told him to meet me at the party. I wanted to see if he'd actually show up, if he'd choose me over you. And he did, I whispered. She nodded. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but I needed you to see who he really is. My phone buzzed. Brendan calling. Becca looked at me. Don't answer yet. There's more. She pulled out her phone. I've been documenting everything. Every text he sent me. Every time he showed up when you weren't here. She handed me her phone. The messages went back several months. Hundreds of them. Him calling her beautiful, asking to meet up, begging her not to tell me. My hands shook as I scrolled. In one message from last week, he wrote, I'm only with her until I can figure out how to break up without drama. You're the one I actually want. The room spun. My phone kept buzzing. Becca stood and locked our door. Before you talk to him, there's something else. She walked to her closet and pulled out a shoebox. Inside were printed emails. Dozens of them. These are between Brendan and his ex-girlfriend from high school. They never stopped talking. I opened the most recent one, dated yesterday. I love you, it read. Always have. This thing with the college girl is temporary. I'll be back home for Christmas and we can figure everything out then. I couldn't breathe. Becca sat beside me. I know this is a lot, and I know you probably hate me right now for tonight, but I needed you to see all of it at once, because if I told you in pieces, he'd just explain it away. My phone buzzed again. A text from Brendan. Please answer. I can explain the photos. Becca set me up. I looked at Becca. She looked back at me. There's one more thing, she said quietly. And this is the part you're really not going to believe. She pulled out another phone from the shoebox. Not hers. Not mine. This is Brendan's old phone, she said. The one he said he lost last semester. He didn't lose it. He left it here on purpose. I found it under your bed recently. She unlocked it. The password was my birthday. Look at the deleted messages folder, she whispered. I opened it. There were messages to someone named K, hundreds of them. My fingers were numb as I scrolled. Who's K? I asked. Becca's face was grim. Keep reading. The messages started back in August, before I'd even met Brendan. Can't wait to see you tonight. Told the new girl I'm studying. She's cute, but not as hot as you. This is just for the semester. You know you're the only one. I scrolled faster. September, October, November, all the way through last week. Kay is Kendall, Becca said. His study partner from organic chemistry. The one he said was just a friend. I'd met Kendall once. She'd hugged Brendan for way too long at a football game. He'd laughed it off, said she was touchy with everyone. There's photos too, Becca said quietly. I didn't want to look, but I did. They weren't study photos. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. How long have you known? I managed. I found the phone a month ago, Becca admitted. I didn't know what to do. You seemed so happy. But then he started hitting on me too and I realized this is just what he does. Why didn't you tell me immediately? Would you have believed me? She had a point. I needed proof, real proof. So I started documenting everything. The texts he sent me, the times he came by when you weren't here. Tonight was the final piece. My phone rang again. Brendan. Don't answer, Becca said. Let him sweat. But I was done with games. I answered on speaker. Baby. Thank God. Brendan's voice was panicked. Becca drugged my drink or something. I don't remember anything after the party started. She's trying to ruin us. I didn't say anything. Are you there? Please, you have to believe me. She's been obsessed with me for months. I have screenshots of her messages. She threatened to make up lies if I didn't date her. Becca rolled her eyes. Really? I said. My voice sounded dead. So you have screenshots of Becca's messages? Yes, I'll send them right now. Great. While you do that, want to explain why your old phone is in my hand right now? The one with all your messages to Kendall? Silence. Then, I can explain that. I'm sure you can. I hung up. Becca looked at me. You okay? I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. My phone exploded with texts. Brendan alternating between apologies and accusations, saying Becca planted the phone, saying Kendall meant nothing, saying he loved me, saying I was overreacting. I blocked his number. What are you going to do? Becca asked. I don't know yet, but that was a lie. I knew exactly what I was going to do. The next morning, I woke up to 16 missed calls from Brendan's best friend Qley. I ignored them and went to my 8 a.m. lecture. Halfway through, my professor asked me to step outside. Campus security was there. "We received a report that you stole property belonging to Brendan Hayes," the officer said. "An iPhone." I stared at him. "Are you serious right now?" Turns out, Brendan had filed a police report claiming I broke into his apartment and stole his phone. Becca had to come to the security office and explain she'd found it in our dorm room. They reviewed our door camera footage. No break-in. The phone had been there for weeks. The officer apologized. Brendan got written up for filing a false report, but that wasn't the end of it. That afternoon, I got a call from my mom. Brendan had called her, told her I was having a mental breakdown, that I was destroying his property and making up stories about him cheating, that he was worried about my mental health. "Honey, what's going on?" Mom asked. He sounded so concerned. I explained everything, sent her the screenshots, the photos, the emails. Mom was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Want me to drive up there?" "No," I said. "I can handle this." But I couldn't. Not really. By evening, Brendan had posted on Instagram a long caption about toxic relationships and false accusations, about how he'd tried to be understanding but I'd crossed a line. He didn't name me. He didn't have to. Everyone knew. The comments were brutal. His friends calling me crazy, psycho, asking what I'd expected dating someone out of my league. His ex-girlfriend from high school commented a heart emoji. Natalie called, "Half of Greek row thinks you're unhinged. The other half thinks Brendan's a piece of shit. It's pretty evenly split." Great. For what it's worth, I believe you. Everyone who actually knows you believes you. But that didn't help when I walked to the dining hall and people stared, whispered. One girl from my biology class looked at me with pity. I stopped going to places I knew he'd be, which meant avoiding the library, the gym, and most of campus. My social life became Becca, Natalie, and my roommate across the hall, Zara. Finals were a nightmare. I couldn't focus, couldn't sleep. Every notification made my heart race, thinking it was him. He sent messages from his friends' phones, from fake Instagram accounts, from email addresses I'd never seen. Always the same thing. We needed to talk. I was being unreasonable. He loved me. Why was I doing this to him? I documented everything and brought it to the dean of students. They called it harassment and issued a no-contact order. Brendan had to stay at least 100 feet away from me at all times. That worked for about a week. Then I came out of my chemistry final and found him waiting by the doors. "I'm not trying to violate anything," he said, hands up. "I just need 5 minutes. You need to leave. Please, just hear me out." Campus security was nowhere in sight. It was late. Most people had already left for winter break. "If you don't leave right now, I'm calling 911. "I love you," he said. Like that fixed everything. "I messed up, I know that. But we can work through this. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever you want. What I want is for you to leave me alone." "You don't mean that." A car pulled up. Becca coming to pick me up like we'd planned. "Get in," she called. I walked past Brendan. He grabbed my arm. "Don't touch me. We're not done talking." Becca was out of the car now, phone up, recording. Let go of her. He dropped my arm like it burned, smiled. "Just having a conversation with my girlfriend." "Ex," I said. "Ex-girlfriend." I got in Becca's car. We drove away. Brendan stood there in the parking lot watching. "I got it all on video," Becca said. "Him grabbing you. That's assault." I filed another report with campus security. They escalated it to the real police. Brendan got a restraining order. Had to move out of his fraternity house because it was too close to my dorm. His friends started a rumor that I'd made the whole thing up to ruin his life, that Becca and I were actually together and this was some lesbian revenge plot. It was absurd, but people believed it. Winter break came. I went home, slept for 16 hours straight. Mom made my favorite meals and didn't ask questions when I started crying randomly. Dad wanted to drive back to campus and handle it. I told him no. That would only make things worse. My little brother asked why I'd broken up with Brendan. He'd liked him. They'd played video games once. "He wasn't who I thought he was," I said. "That sucks," my brother said, and went back to his game. I spent most of break in my childhood bedroom, ignored social media, screened my calls. Natalie checked in every day. Becca sent me funny videos. Zara mailed me cookies. 2 days before the spring semester started, I got a Facebook message from someone I didn't know, a girl named Taylor. "I don't know if you'll believe me," it read, "but I dated Brendan last year. He did the same thing to me, cheated with multiple girls. Made me think I was crazy when I confronted him. I saw what's happening to you and I wanted you to know you're not alone." I stared at the message. Then I responded. "Do you have proof?" She did. Screenshots, emails, photos, different girls but the same patterns, the same lies. "There's a group of us," Taylor wrote. 6 girls he's done this to. We've been talking, comparing notes. If you want to meet up, we're getting coffee next week." I met them at a Starbucks off campus. 6 women, ages 19 to 24. All of us with the same story. Brendan had dated us, cheated on us, gaslighted us when we found out. Made us think we were the problem. "He has a type," one girl said. Her name was Michelle. "Insecure girls, ones who won't push back too hard. He tested boundaries," another one added. She was Alexis. "Little things at first, seeing what he could get away with." Taylor had dated him the longest, almost a year. "He told me I was lucky to have him," she said, "that other guys wouldn't put up with my jealousy." I actually started to believe it. "Did anyone report him?" I asked. "I did," Michelle said. "Campus security said it was a he said she said situation. They couldn't do anything without concrete proof. But we have proof now," Taylor said. "All of us together. That's a pattern. That's harassment." We compiled everything, created a shared document with testimonies, screenshots, photos, dates, 38 pages of evidence. We met regularly after that, every Tuesday at the same Starbucks. It became our safe space, A place where we didn't have to explain or justify. We all understood. Michelle brought printouts of the university's harassment policy, highlighted sections, made notes in the margins. She was pre-law and approached this like a case to win. Alexis had kept a journal documenting every interaction with Brendan, dates, times, what he'd said, how he'd made her feel. She read entries aloud sometimes. We'd all nod. We'd all been there. One girl, Jasmine, had transferred schools because of Brendan. She'd driven back just for our meetings. I thought leaving would make it stop, she said, but it didn't. He still found ways to contact me, to make me feel like I'd overreacted. Another girl, Christina, hadn't told anyone what happened. Not her friends, not her family. I was embarrassed, she admitted. I thought if I just stayed quiet, people would forget. But we remembered. All of us. The university's Title IX office had to investigate. It took 8 weeks. Brendan hired a lawyer, claimed we were colluding against him, that we were bitter ex-girlfriends seeking revenge. The investigator was a woman in her 50s named Ms. Rodriguez. She interviewed each of us separately, asked detailed questions, took notes, didn't judge. I've been doing this for 15 years, she told me during my interview. I've seen this pattern before. Boys who think they're untouchable, who use the same tactics on multiple victims. Will anything actually happen to him? I asked. That depends on what the evidence shows. She reviewed everything, interviewed witnesses, checked security footage, pulled phone records. Brendan's fraternity brothers were called in. Some of them corroborated our stories. Others lied for him, said we were making it up, that Brendan was a good guy who'd never hurt anyone. But the evidence was overwhelming. Their finding was clear. Brendan had systematically manipulated and harassed multiple students. He was expelled. His family threatened to sue the university. His father showed up at the Title IX office screaming about ruining his son's future. His mother called each of us personally, begging us to reconsider, offering money to drop the complaints. We didn't. Brendan's father cornered me outside the library one afternoon. Big guy, expensive suit, angry face. You're destroying my son's life, he said. I looked at him, saw where Brendan had learned it. The entitlement, the belief that rules didn't apply to him. No, I said. Your son destroyed his own life. He made mistakes. He's young. You're blowing this out of proportion. He didn't make mistakes. He made choices. Multiple choices. With multiple women. Over multiple years. We could make this worth your while, he said. Whatever you want. Tuition paid, a car, just drop the complaint. I'm not for sale. His jaw tightened. You're going to regret this. Security showed up then. Zara had seen him approach me and called them. He left, but not before saying, this isn't over. The next day, someone slashed my tires, keyed my car, spray-painted liar across the hood. Campus security reviewed the parking lot footage. Couldn't see who did it, but Brendan had been seen in that area around the time it happened. His parents paid for the damages, sent a lawyer's letter claiming it wasn't Brendan, that I couldn't prove anything. But we all knew. Taylor's apartment window was broken the following week, a brick through the glass with a note attached. Shut your mouth or next time it's your face. Michelle started getting threatening emails, anonymous accounts, graphic descriptions of what would happen to her if she didn't drop the investigation. We reported everything, every incident, every threat, built a file thick with evidence. The university took it seriously this time. Brendan wasn't just expelled, he was banned from campus entirely. Campus security had his photo. If he showed up, he'd be arrested for trespassing. His Instagram posted one last time, a long rant about cancel culture and false accusations, about how the system was broken, how innocent men couldn't defend themselves anymore. It got maybe 50 likes. Then his account disappeared, but the damage was done. We were all marked. The girls who'd ruined Brendan's life. Some people believed us. Others didn't. I finished spring semester with a 3.7 GPA, moved into an apartment with Becca and Natalie for the next year, started therapy, began sleeping through the night again. My therapist's name was Dr. Patel. She was patient, understanding, didn't push me to talk before I was ready. Trauma doesn't follow a timeline, she said during one of our early sessions. Healing isn't linear. I cried a lot in her office, talked about things I hadn't said out loud, the shame, the guilt, the feeling that somehow I'd caused this. You didn't cause anything, Dr. Patel said firmly. He made choices, his choices, not yours. But knowing that intellectually and believing it emotionally were different things. I had nightmares, would wake up panicking, checking my phone for messages from Brendan. Becca would hear me and come into my room, sit with me until I calmed down. It's going to be okay, she'd say. When? Eventually. Eventually. Took longer than I wanted. Kendall messaged me in June. I'm so sorry, she wrote. I didn't know he had a girlfriend. He told me you were just a friend. I didn't respond. I was done with apologies. But sometimes, late at night, I'd think about all the little signs I'd ignored. The times he'd been evasive about his phone, the way he'd accused me of being jealous when I asked questions, how he'd isolated me from friends by making me think they didn't like him, the texts from his ex he'd explained away as her being crazy, the canceled plans he'd blamed on classes, the Instagram posts he'd untagged himself from. I'd wanted to believe him so badly that I'd ignored my own instincts. Dr. Patel called it cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of holding two conflicting beliefs. I loved him. He hurt me. Those things didn't fit together. So my brain tried to make them fit by justifying his behavior. It's a survival mechanism, she explained. Your mind was trying to protect you from the pain of accepting the truth. I feel stupid. You're not stupid, you're human. The Tuesday group continued meeting even after the investigation closed. We'd bonded through trauma but stayed connected through healing. Taylor got engaged, brought her fiancé to meet us. He was quiet, kind, shook each of our hands and said, thank you for being there for her. Michelle got into law school, full scholarship. I'm going to specialize in Title IX cases, she announced, so other women don't have to fight this hard. Alexis started a blog about emotional abuse. It went viral. She got invited to speak at conferences, wrote articles for major publications. Jasmine transferred back, decided she wasn't going to let Brendan chase her away from her education. Christina told her parents what happened. They were supportive, loving. Everything she'd been afraid they wouldn't be. We were all healing, slowly, messily, but healing. Senior year started. I threw myself into classes, got an internship at a marketing firm, started dating again, casually, nothing serious. I wasn't ready for serious. One afternoon, I was at a coffee shop studying when someone sat down across from me. Taylor. Hey, she said, haven't seen you in a while? We'd talked a few times after the investigation, but mostly drifted apart. Moved on with our lives. How are you doing? I asked. Good, actually. Really good. She ordered a latte. I'm seeing someone new. He's kind, patient. Believes me when I tell him things. It's weird. I laughed. Weird good or weird bad? Weird good, like I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for him to turn into Brendan, but he doesn't. That's great. What about you? I'm okay, I said. And I actually meant it. Some days are harder than others, but I'm okay. Taylor nodded. I saw Brendan the other day, at the grocery store near campus. My chest tightened. And he looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. Tried to talk to me, I walked away, but I thought you should know he's still around. I'd assumed he'd transferred, gone to another school, disappeared. Thanks for telling me. After Taylor left, I sat there for a long time. Part of me wanted to pack up, go home, hide. The other part was angry. This was my campus, my city. Why should I be the one hiding? I finished my coffee and went back to studying. 2 weeks later, I was walking to class when I saw him, Brendan, standing outside the student union, talking to a girl I didn't recognize. She was laughing at something he said, touching his arm. My first instinct was to run, to turn around, to avoid him entirely. But then I thought about what Dr. Patel had said. You're not the one who should feel shame, he is. I almost turned around, almost took the long way, but I didn't. I walked right past him, made eye contact, didn't smile, didn't acknowledge him beyond that moment of recognition. He looked shocked, like he'd expected me to either run away or confront him. I didn't either. I just kept walking. My hands were shaking when I got to class. But I'd done it. I'd seen him and survived it. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. You think you won, but you ruined my life. I hope you're happy. I screenshot it, forwarded it to campus security, blocked the number. 10 minutes later, another text from a different number. This isn't over. I forwarded that too, blocked it. They kept coming, different numbers. Same message. He was trying to scare me, to make me feel unsafe. It was working. Becca found me sitting on the couch, phone in my hand, shaking. He's still harassing you? He won't stop, I whispered. It's been almost a year and he won't stop. We're going to the police right now. This is stalking. The police took my statement, looked at all the messages, the blocked numbers, the pattern. We can file for a permanent restraining order, the officer said, but you'll need to testify. The hearing was scheduled for October. I had to sit in a courtroom and explain everything. Brendan's lawyer tried to make me look unstable, asked why I'd stayed if he was so terrible, implied I'd wanted the attention. The lawyer was a woman in her 40s, designer suit, cold eyes. She treated me like I was on trial. Isn't it true you continued the relationship for several months after the alleged cheating began? I didn't know about the cheating, but you had suspicions, didn't you? I trusted him. Or maybe you didn't care. Maybe this is just revenge for being dumped. He didn't dump me. I ended it after finding proof he was cheating with multiple women. Alleged proof, documented proof, screenshots, photos, witness testimony. She changed tactics. How many sexual partners have you had? Objection, my lawyer said. Irrelevant. Sustained, the judge said. He looked annoyed, but the judge had read the case file. Seen the evidence from 6 different women. The pattern was undeniable. He granted the restraining order. 5 years. Brendan couldn't contact me, come near me, or be within 500 feet of me. Walking out of that courtroom, I felt lighter. Not healed, not okay, but lighter. Brendan's mother was waiting outside. She looked older than I remembered. Tired. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think my son could do these things. I didn't know what to say. I found text messages on his father's phone, she continued, from other women, going back years. I realized where Brendan learned it. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a check, made out to me. I can't give you back the time he stole, but I can help with therapy, or whatever you need. I handed it back. I don't want your money. Please, let me do something. You could believe the next girl. When she says your son hurt her, you could believe her the first time. She started crying, nodded, walked away. I stood there watching her go, felt something like pity. She'd loved her son and learned he was a monster. That couldn't be easy, but it wasn't my job to make her feel better about it. Graduation came in May. I walked across the stage, accepted my diploma, and looked out at the crowd. Mom was crying, Dad was filming, my brother was on his phone, probably texting. Becca and Natalie were there too, screaming my name, making fools of themselves. The Tuesday group threw me a party after the ceremony. All 6 of them showed up with a cake that said Survivor in purple frosting. We wanted to get you a cake that said Brendan sucks, but the bakery said no, Taylor explained. We laughed, took photos, talked about the future. Michelle was heading to law school in California. Alexis had a book deal for a memoir about emotional abuse. Taylor was getting married in August. Jasmine had lined up a teaching job. Christina was taking a gap year to travel. What about you? They asked. I got a job offer, I said. Marketing position in Chicago. I start in July. After the ceremony, we went to dinner at my favorite Italian restaurant. What's next? Dad asked. Chicago? I said. Fresh start. That's my girl, Dad said. Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. My brother looked up from his phone. Can I have your room when you move out? Absolutely not, Mom said. We all laughed. Moving day was chaos. Becca and Natalie helped me pack. We blasted music and ate pizza and reminisced about the past 4 years. Remember when you first moved in and I was wearing your boyfriend's jacket? Becca said. God, don't remind me. I mean, technically I was trying to expose him, so it was for a good cause. You're still an idiot, I said. Yeah, but I'm your idiot. Natalie threw a pillow at us. You two are so dramatic. We stayed up all night, talked about everything. Our fears, our hopes, the what-ifs. Do you think you'll ever date seriously again? Natalie asked. Maybe, I said. Eventually, when I'm ready. You'll find someone good, Becca said. Someone who deserves you. What if I don't? Then you'll be happy alone, which is better than being miserable with someone. She had a point. Chicago was different. Big, loud, anonymous. Nobody knew my story. Nobody stared. I was just another person trying to make it. The job was intense but good. My coworkers were friendly. My boss was demanding but fair. I got my own apartment. Small but mine. I decorated it exactly how I wanted. Painted the walls teal. Hung artwork I'd collected. Created a space that felt safe. I went on dates. Some good. Some terrible. None that went anywhere. And that was okay. One guy, Preston, seemed nice until our second date when he got angry because I wouldn't invite him up to my apartment. Called me a tease. Said I'd let him on. I blocked his number and went home. Another guy, Foster, was perfect on paper. Good job, good family, good manners. But something felt off. The way he'd text constantly. Get upset if I didn't respond immediately. Make comments about what I wore. I ended it after the 4th date. Dr. Patel said I was getting better at recognizing red flags. You're trusting your instincts now. 6 months in, I matched with someone on a dating app. His name was Adrian. He was a teacher, loved dogs, made terrible puns. Our first date was coffee. It lasted 4 hours. He told dad jokes, made me laugh, listened when I talked, didn't interrupt, didn't try to impress me with stories about himself. Our second date was dinner. He asked thoughtful questions, remembered details from our first conversation, paid attention to what I said. On our third date, I told him about Brendan, all of it. I figured if he was going to run, better now than later. He listened, didn't interrupt, didn't try to fix it. When I finished, he said, "Thank you for telling me. That must have been really hard." It was. Still is sometimes. I get that. My ex was... He paused. Let's just say I understand trust issues. He told me about his ex-girlfriend, how she'd cheated on him with his best friend, how he'd blamed himself for not being enough. Took me a year of therapy to realize it wasn't my fault, he said. How long ago was that? 3 years. I'm good now. Or at least better. We didn't fix each other. That's not how it works. But we were patient with each other. Gentle. Honest. When I had bad days, he didn't push. He just let me feel it. When he had bad days, I did the same. It wasn't perfect. We fought sometimes. Miscommunicated. Hurt each other accidentally. Our first fight was about nothing. I'd canceled plans last minute because I was having a panic attack. He got frustrated because this was the 3rd time. Said he needed to know if I was actually interested or just stringing him along. I cried. Explained that I wasn't trying to hurt him. That sometimes my anxiety made it hard to leave the house. He apologized. Said he should have been more understanding. We learned to communicate better after that. To say what we needed instead of assuming. But it was real. And that mattered. A year later, we moved in together. Got a dog. Named him Waffles because Adrian lost a bet. Waffles was a golden retriever mix. Goofy. Loving. Terrible at fetching, but excellent at cuddling. I still thought about Brendan sometimes. Wondered if he'd changed. If he'd found new victims. If karma had caught up with him. But mostly, I thought about how far I'd come. From that girl crying in her dorm room to this woman with her own life, her own apartment, her own choices. Becca and Natalie visited for New Year's. We drank wine and watched the ball drop and made plans for the future. Remember when you thought Brendan was the love of your life? Becca said, slightly drunk. Don't remind me. I'm just saying, look at you now, you're thriving, living your best life. Meanwhile, he's probably still trying to scam college girls. Probably. Natalie raised her glass. To surviving terrible boyfriends and becoming better people. We clinked glasses, drank, laughed. Later, after they'd gone to bed, I sat on my balcony looking out at the city. Adrian came out, wrapped a blanket around my shoulders. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. I really am. And I meant it. For the first time in years, I actually meant it. The trauma didn't disappear. The memories didn't fade. Some days were still hard. Some triggers still caught me off guard. Adrian's cologne sometimes smelled like Brendan's. I'd have to leave the room until the panic passed. Certain songs still made me cry. Movies with cheating plots were hard to watch. I avoided parties where I didn't know everyone. But I'd learned to live with it, to acknowledge it without letting it define me. I was more than what happened to me, more than Brendan's victim, more than that girl in the photos. I was just me, flawed, healing, moving forward. And that was enough. 5 years after graduation, I got a message on LinkedIn from Taylor. Hey, remember me? We should catch up. We met for coffee. She had a toddler now. Another baby on the way. Worked as a social worker specializing in domestic violence cases. I think about that time a lot, she said. How we all came together. Took him down. Me too. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we hadn't? I'd thought about it. How many more girls he might have hurt. How the pattern would have continued. I'm glad we did, I said. Even though it sucked. Same. We talked for hours. About our lives. Our jobs. Our relationships. How we'd both ended up okay despite everything. Before we left, Taylor said, I looked up Brendan once. On social media. Couldn't help myself. And? Nothing. No Facebook, no Instagram, no LinkedIn. It's like he disappeared. Part of me was relieved. Part of me wondered what that meant. I saw his name in a court filing last year, Taylor continued. Another harassment case. Different girl, different city. My stomach dropped. He's still doing it. Looks like it. I thought about reaching out to her, offering to testify or something. But my therapist said I need to focus on my own healing. She's probably right. Doesn't make it easier though, knowing he's still out there, still hurting people. We sat in silence for a while. You can't save everyone, I finally said. We did what we could. We stopped him from hurting more people at our school. That matters. I know, I just wish, I know. Walking back to my car, I thought about 19-year-old me, the one who'd believed a boy when he said he loved her, who'd ignored all the red flags because she wanted so badly for it to be real. I wished I could tell her it would be okay, that she'd survive this, that she'd be stronger for it. But she wouldn't have believed me. She had to learn it herself, just like I did. I got in my car and drove home. Adrian was making dinner. Waffles was barking at nothing. My phone had 6 unread messages from the group chat with Becca and Natalie. This was my life now. Ordinary, peaceful, mine, and I'd fought like hell for it. That night, I deleted every photo of Brendan from my phone, every screenshot, every piece of evidence I'd saved. I didn't need it anymore. He was just a chapter in my story. One I'd survived, one I'd learned from, but not the whole story. Never the whole story. I was 25 now, had my dream job, a partner who respected, friends who supported me, a family who loved me. I'd made it through, not unscathed, but alive. And that was everything. Years later, I'd tell this story to other women, the ones just starting to realize their partner wasn't who they thought, the ones being gaslit, manipulated, isolated. I'd tell them they weren't crazy. They weren't overreacting. Their instincts were right. I'd tell them it would be hard. So hard, but worth it. I'd tell them about that night in my dorm room, looking at photos of my boyfriend with my roommate, feeling my world collapse. And I'd tell them how I built it back up, piece by piece, day by day, how I learned to trust myself again, to believe my own reality, to know my worth. It wasn't a fairy tale. There was no perfect ending, no moment where everything suddenly made sense. Just slow progress, small victories, gradual healing, but that was real. And real was better than perfect any day. So yeah, my roommate said my boyfriend was creeping her out. Someone tagged me in a party photo where she was sitting on his lap, and that night changed everything. Not all at once, not dramatically, but completely.